fruit-bearing, and where we lack the flow of the Ruach HaKodesh, you will find contention, strife, and the breaking of righteous relationships, both with one another and also with Yahweh. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 4, Torah portion Chukat, meaning ordinance. We are in the middle of chapter number 20 of the Midbar, or Numbers, and we're watching events unfold that are tragic. If not enough tragedy has not already taken place. Miriam has died, as we stated yesterday. There is a ceasing of the flows of waters from the rock, from Mount Horeb. And then the people, one more time, get contentious. And they come to Aaron and to Moshe, and they start grumbling and complaining. And this is the nature of their complaint. In verse number 4, why have you brought up the assembly of Yahweh into this wilderness that we and our livestock should die here? Why have you brought us up out of Mitzrayim to bring us to this evil place? Listen to what they said. There is not a place of grain, or figs, or vines, or pomegranates. There is no water to drink. Well, Moshe and Aaron do what they normally do. They go over to the tent of meeting and they fall on their face. But notice that when Yah gives them instructions as to how to resolve this, he does not criticize the people. In verse number 8, take the rod and assemble the congregation, you and your brother Aaron, and you shall speak to the rock before their eyes, and it shall give its water. And you shall bring water for them out of the rock and give to drink to the congregation and to their livestock. There's no criticism of the people here. It gives credence to the idea then that the people were somewhat legitimate in their complaint, at least for the water. But they also are saying, you promised us a land flowing with milk and honey, and all of these fruits and all of this increase, and we got nothing. And I know that they're tired of it. They've been in the wilderness now for decades, and it's gotten old. And so they begin to complain. Let's listen to what they're complaining about. There are no grains. In the Middle East, these two grains are in particular barley, which is poor men's bread, most often raised to feed livestock, but also for the poor. This is the grain that comes at Pesach time, and it is the source then of the grain for matzah, basic bread. Bread that doesn't have a lot of flavor, it doesn't have any volume, but it will sustain you. This references your salvation. Your salvation is delightful, it's wonderful. It is the beginning, however, of your righteous relationship with Yah and your right understanding of things. Then comes wheat. Wheat is king's bread. It's challah. It's tasteful. It has volume. It has flavor. It is rich. And it speaks of maturity. After observing the days of counting the omer, we come to the king's bread. This is talking about spiritual maturity then. Figs is a reference to the Sanhedrin court. The fig tree is not Israel. The fig tree is the Sanhedrin court. For those who talk about the putting forth of the leaves of the fig tree referencing the birth of the state of Israel, now Israel is an olive tree. It's always referenced as an olive tree. The fig tree, however, is the Sanhedrin court, those who have the right to see that justice comes forth. So figs are about righteous justice. Vines refer to the grape in particular from which wine is made. Wine is about gladness. It's about celebration. It's about the cup of covenant. It's the drink that is poured out at the brazen altar as an act of worship. So the vine perhaps then is about our righteous relationship, our covenant relationship that refreshes us, that invigorates us, that makes us glad. And then finally, the pomegranate. The pomegranate has tradition attached to it. It has 613 seeds, referencing the Torah. Well, actually, the seeds can vary from one pomegranate to the other. But where we see them placed in Scripture is the hem of the garment of Aaron the high priest. They are alternating pomegranates with little bells. And this is talking about the fruit of the Ruach, and then the bells, the gifting of the Ruach. And so the fruit and the gifts work together. They move together, and it produces a pleasant sound. So we're talking about then the people, at least at a deeper level, are saying, we don't have any grain or figs or vines or pomegranates. Neither do we have spiritual maturity. Neither do we have righteous justice. Neither do we have righteous relationships. And the fruit bearing of the Ruach is taught in the Torah. We're not seeing it. I can tell you as a congregational leader that when people come to you and complain and say, we're not seeing anything happen in our congregation, the first inclination is to take it personally. I think Moshe took this personally. It bothered him. His sister has just died. Nobody mourned her. There is no mention that they stopped for 30 days or any number of days and a vigil was held or a ceremony or a recognition. It's just the fact she died, she's gone. Where's the water? And so the people were callous. They were not paying attention. Moshe perhaps is acting in offense. Moshe, go speak to the rock and the water will flow for the people. They have a legitimate need. He's angry. And now it seems for the first time that he acts outside of what Yah commands. And he cries out, "Here now, you bunch of rebels." And he strikes the rock. The water flowed, but he disobeyed. What should have happened perhaps is that the people, it says that you speak to the rock in front of all of the people. That is that they hear prophecy pertaining to the rock renewed. Speak to the rock. Speak of the rock. Speak and tell the people who the rock is. Yeshua has already paid the price for us to receive the gifts that we're in need of our spiritual maturity, of justice, of the righteous relationship and the fruit of the Spirit. He does not need to suffer over and again. You do not need to keep impaling Yeshua on the tree. We need to get beyond, as Rav Shaul taught, the basic elements of our redemption and come into a place of maturity. Not easily accomplished. Our very flesh fights against that. And so we have Moshe then acting outside of the protocols that Yah has established. The people's need is met because Yah is merciful and he has grace toward them. But now he has to discipline Moshe. You're not going in, and neither is Aaron. This is devastating news to Moshe. But to whom much is given, much is required. When we understand that we have been given a place of leadership, a place of being out front and influencing people toward righteousness, then we have to live righteously. And again, our emotions get involved, our offenses get involved. People will wear you out. You have issues. They have legitimate complaints. We take it personally. In other words, we're human. So much more than the need for the water from the rock to flow and for fruit bearing to be evident. Poor Moshe, poor people, poor Yahweh, in a manner of speaking. But this experiment in the wilderness will succeed and they will come in and take the land. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, and until then, shalom.